guys. Welcome to another Aroma Chat. Today I'm going to be meeting with my good friend Mary Ellen. I met Mary Ellen a couple years ago up in North Texas. We had a meeting at a lavender farm up there, and it was a really great meeting, and we were able to have some foods that were inspired by the plant. It was just really exciting. So I'm very excited to have my friend Mary Ellen with me today, and let's go ahead and welcome her into the chat room, okay?
And COVID's been going on, and like somebody said yesterday, nobody's at their best since this whole thing started. Nobody is.
It's true.
So, well, you seem like you're pretty well balanced. Are your oils helping you?
Yes and no. I view my essential oils as therapy, right? I don't use them all the time. I do have something diffusing right now, but they're more, I look at it more therapeutically than just an emotional support or anything like that. So sometimes, like there was a day a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I need something to uplift. So I got out some blood orange and I'm like, put that on the diffuser, hang it right under my nose, you know? Some days, yes. But the funny thing about me is I always forget. I forget my knowledge. Right? I don't know if that happens to you. It happens to me all the time. I have friends though that are so good to me because I'll say, I'll text them, this is what's going on. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Have you made a blend for yourself? I'm doing it right now. Thank you. I always forget what I know.
Yeah.
I have a whole refrigerator full of supplies.
Yep.
Forget.
So I took my first class on herbs in the early 80s. And I studied, did you ever hear the woman Susan Weed?
Yes.
Did you ever hear of her?
Yes. I
studied with her. And she came to Buffalo, New York, and we did a weekend workshop, and I learned tincturing, and I learned infusing, and I went on weed walks. I mean, it was incredible. And the first thing she said, which I've never forgotten, was she said, you need to have the names and phone numbers of 5 girlfriends so that when you get sick, you call one of them and they will be able to say to you, you have a cold, go and have some chicken soup, lay down, you know, whatever, right?
Right.
Because she said the first thing that flies out the window is your brain.
Yes.
When you're not doing well.
Yes.
So what you're describing is absolutely real. And
Kathy always taught us, do not forsake your girlfriends.
Never.
They will be there when everyone else has forgotten you. Do not forsake your girlfriends.
Yeah.
So we have a very close group. We call ourselves our soul sisters. We have a very close group, and it could be weeks.
Yeah.
And then I need you.
Yeah.
One of us will reach out. Something's happened and we need each other.
Yep.
Yeah. You have to have them. You have to have them.
It's super important, and it's a real big blessing to have them. Not everybody has that.
Yes.
That's one of the 4-star treasures of life.
Yes. And I can only imagine how you're feeling with your friend.
Yeah.
But the beautiful part is where we are now with our technology and everything.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's the end of everything. You know, back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, right? Yeah. When you moved away, you moved away.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
This didn't exist.
That's true.
You're in Texas. I'm in Guam. This didn't exist.
True.
So
yeah,
you still have that connection, which is good.
Yeah. Really cool.
So was it the 1980s when you really began your aromatic journey?
I don't think I really got into aromatherapy with any knowledge until the 2000s.
Okay.
But I always loved scent, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I loved it. Right. And back then it was very hard to find teachers. So that was another piece of it.
My mother became an aromatherapist back in the 90s, the early 90s.
Did she?
through a correspondence course. Do you remember correspondence courses?
I took one for perfumery.
She did it for aromatherapy. She was a massage therapist and wanted to take it to the next level. So she
Oh,
actually became an aromatherapist back in the 90s.
wow.
Yeah.
Who did she study with? Do you know?
I have no idea. She never shared that information, and she's gone now. So
Oh,
yeah, no idea.
awesome. Wow, you had quite an influence on you
I
with
did.
your mom.
Yeah. So was your first aromatherapy course correspondence? I know you said perfumery was.
Perfumery was, but my first aromatherapy was here in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was in the early, no, wait, what am I saying? I got my certification in '09,
Okay.
and, I got registered. I passed my exam and everything, but I studied with her for about 4 years before I did that. So that was '05. Yeah, so early 2000s. Wow, yeah, yeah.
It's so funny when you stop and think about it, right? Oh my gosh, that did happen then. Has it been that long? Oh my gosh, it really has.
Really is, yeah.
What what made you want to pursue aromatherapy?
So I just had great personal success with it. And it helped me on an emotional level primarily. And I went to this woman who I ended up studying with. Her name is Maria Dolores Gonzalez.
Okay.
And she was from Europe. She was from the no, not Reunion Islands, the islands off the coast of Spain.
Okay.
And so she had this very European approach, and she studied with people in England and Germany. And so I went to her and I said, I've had anxiety. I've had probably low-level depression my whole life. I never wanted to do anything about it other than counseling, because everybody, I went to several counselors who said, get on antidepressants, and I was just too afraid. And I said, no, I don't want to do that.
You were
So
smart to
I
not get
think,
on antidepressants. Very smart to not do that.
yeah,
Very
I was really afraid. And so I think what happened for me was I was just on this journey of helping myself get well from the time I was really young, like 16.
Mhm.
My dad had his first massive heart attack when I was 14, and he ultimately died when I was 19. My mother always had rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. She lived into her 90s, but she was always sick.
Mhm.
And I'm the youngest of five, and all of my siblings were always sick. And always with the chronic headaches and the migraines and the stomach problems and tooth problems. And, I had a lot of that stuff too. And so from the time I started working, one of my earlier jobs was as a book page in a library. And I would look at because this was in the late 70s, and it was all the alternative um, points of view were starting to come in about how your mind was related to your physical body and what was that connection. So I started doing yoga, and some of it, I got something from all of it. But the aromatherapy, this gal gave me a blend, an emotional support blend, and she said, put it on your fingertips, inhale it, rub it on your thymus, and take the rest and rub it on the back of your neck and shoulders. And coming from New York, I was like, yeah, I'm going to rub something on and it's going to make me feel better, as if. And then I did it. And I remember one morning I was doing it and I thought, you know what? I don't have knots in my stomach for like the first time ever. And I actually felt kind of joyful without realizing it. And I always had a lot of innate joy. But I felt like there was something that had really shifted in me. And that's what got me interested.
But isn't that kind of the way that it works, especially with natural remedies, right? We go, okay, fine, I'll try your amber beads, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
wear them. And you go on about your life and you don't give it another thought
Right.
until you realize either something is better,
Yeah.
something's missing that you've always had, right? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you can make that connection, and the timing is different for everyone, but I feel like it's kind of that same story all the time.
All the time.
Fine, I'll try your essential oils.
Right.
I'll rub the thing on my body, whatever.
Whatever.
And then somewhere down the road
It,
you realize,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I do feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I have taught classes where I have taken the scent sticks, given and had everybody, do this. And by the end of the room, I remember this one, everybody was laughing and talking and sharing and smiling. And I was like, wow, that was to have witnessed it was so profound.
Right.
It was really interesting.
That's amazing. So do you find that most people seek you out for those emotional issues?
I do reflexology with my aromatherapy, and I do a energy healing technique. It's like Reiki. It's called Trinity,
Okay.
Trinity Energy Progression. And so I find that as I'm working on people, a lot of the emotional stuff comes out. So what I say to them, and I can really tell working on their feet what their level of stress is.
Sure.
And a lot of times, we're like that hood ornament. That's what I say, we're like that hood ornament that's just in the go position, right? And when I'll ask people every single time they come into my office, tell me your stress level on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 high and 1 low, and tell me your energy level, same scale. And what I find when I get on people's feet is that they have a much higher level of stress than they allow themselves to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I end up doing is nurturing that emotional body. So the big ones, and in point of fact, most people come in because they have some kind of a pain or something weird that has happened that no one else can help them with. And so a friend of a friend told them about me, and so they come in. So I've had a pretty decent track record with those kinds of situations.
Right.
A few, but a few I haven't been able to affect, but it didn't take them overnight to get there either. And so I look at myself and how much effort I've put into healing myself and keeping myself well. And I don't think most people would do what I do, truly.
Right. So
Um,
I used to work for a chiropractor, right? So one
oh
of the
yeah,
things that we would always tell people is pain is not your problem.
right,
Pain is the fire alarm that there is a problem.
right.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. People come to you with a pain or a weird thing and nobody else has been able to figure it out, and tell me what you can do that's different. And I think as Americans, and the only reason I say Americans is because that's where we're from, right? So I can
Mm-hmm.
only associate with my own culture. But I think as
Right,
Americans, we live in a constant state of stress, and we're so stressed all the time that we don't even
right,
realize what stress is anymore.
right.
And we feel, I think we believe that stress is like this, I'm ready to blow,
Mm-hmm.
when it's not. That's not what stress is. I think we've lost an idea of what stress really is and how it can affect our bodies. Would you agree with that?
I do think that there is that scenario where I'm ready to blow. There's definitely that. But I think what I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we have this sort of low level of stress all the time that we think is normal, that we have to cope with.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't even think we have to cope with it. It's just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and stress, and I know you know this, stress wreaks havoc on our bodies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just really it's a tough subject to
You know
talk about with people.
what's, yes, and you know what's very interesting? I've seen this with myself as well as many of my clients over time. The injuries or the things you sustained when you were in your growing up years. So let's say from small kid to 25, those, when you have those injuries or those situations, they seem to come back with a vengeance. And they're the first thing when stress affects people, it affects them in those areas.
Yes.
Here's an example. If you were chronically constipated as a kid, it is terrible when you're in your 60s. And I see that all the time. You know, you fell on your head, or you twisted an arm, or messed up your neck or your lower back.
Right.
You get older and that stuff comes back to haunt you. So it's something that, you know, when you're 25, you think you're invincible and nothing's ever gonna, you know, bother you. But
Wait until
yeah,
you're 50. Yeah.
exactly.
I always tell my kids, you know, with every decade comes new challenges, right? When our
Mm,
oldest son turned 30, he was so funny because I said, okay, you're turning 30. It's going to take longer for you to recover from things now. And he's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, Mom, whatever. And he goes on about his life. And then we went on a family camping trip, 2 nights. That's all, just 2 nights. It wasn't like a week-long camping trip. It was just a weekend.
yeah.
And 3 days later, he's like, I am so tired and my body hurts and I don't know why. And I said, because we went camping this weekend. He's like, yeah, but that was 3 days ago. I said, and you're 30. It takes longer to recover from things now. And he was like,
Yes.
oh no. Every
Yes.
decade, new challenges.
Yes. Absolutely true.
Oh,
Very well put.
so
Yeah.
what would you say is the biggest stumbling block for you in your business?
Marketing.
It's hard.
It is very hard. I have somebody I work with. I do social media. Um, I am not willing to get out there as much as I know other people do. Again, that introvert part of me. But you know, I have people that do Facebook Live every other day, and they get business. Um, but I'm just not willing to do that. And I do my Facebook posts. I do all of it. You know, you name it, I'm on it. And it's just always, you're always chasing it. You know, the algorithms change. Just when you think you got them figured out, then they change again. And so it's this contrived, planned obsolescence.
I am so with you on that. I feel exactly the same way. I post on Facebook, I post on Instagram, I do these videos, but I believe that when the timing is right, the right people will find me.
I agree with that completely. And
And
most of my,
I'm not going to chase you.
yeah, yeah, most of my business is word of mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially in the aromatherapy field,
Mm-hmm.
as an aromatherapist, it needs to be word of mouth, because otherwise you just look like you're selling stuff like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
not what you do.
No, everything I do is very custom, very custom. Um, I actually really enjoy doing the research, and I really enjoy blending and creating. And, you know, the perfumery classes that I took with this gal, she's up in Canada. She's since retired. Um, her name's Lynn Ayer. She's really awesome. But she said when she first started as an aromatherapist, her teacher would say to her, your blends smell more like perfumes. And she said, make sure everything you make smells beautiful, regardless of what you're doing with it. And when I first learned, the European approach was, it doesn't matter if they don't like the smell, it's doing something.
Right.
But I think Lynn was more accurate because people's ability to want to continue with what you've asked them to do and follow a protocol is highly dependent on whether they like the way it smells.
Right. Similar to medications, right? So if I'm taking a medication that makes me feel horrible, I'm not going to want to continue taking it.
Yeah.
So very similar. And I just want to say, if anyone who is listening lives near Mary Ellen and you ever get a chance to do one of her perfumery classes, I highly recommend it.
I forgot about that.
I got to do a perfume class with Mary Ellen, and it was at the Blanco Lavender Festival there in Texas. And we had a room at the
Weston? I don't know.
We rented a room and
Best Western.
Had a whole day of education, and one of the highlights was being able to make a custom perfume. And this is the one that I made. I'm so original. I named it Lavender Festival because and honestly, it smells nothing like lavender because I don't even think I used lavender in it. But if you ever get a chance to do one of Mary Ellen's perfume classes, I really highly recommend them. So if you're in the Dallas area, definitely sign up with her the next time she offers one. What are your top 3 favorite essential oils? And I know this is always hard for an aromatherapist to answer. But if you
I would have to say vetiver, helichrysum, and rose. Okay.
Do you have a reason why? Is it mostly the scent or the therapeutic qualities?
Predominantly the scent, but for helichrysum, it's definitely the therapeutic qualities.
Yes.
I'm not a super fan of the smell, but I just have such respect for that. And what I've seen it do, it's just unbelievable.
It's an amazing essential oil. I heard somebody say one time, though, it's one of those things. It's kind of like bagpiping. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between on helichrysum. And the people that don't like the scent, they think it smells like dirty feet.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, but I love all 3 of those essential oils.
What are your favorites?
I would have such a hard time saying that, but vetiver is definitely in there. I love vetiver. I think it smells like a woody vanilla. Oh, I just love it. And I love what it can do for the body. I've used it in a ton of blends for people who are having nerve issues, not nervous issues, but actual nerve issues. And it's just wonderful. I love Immortelle, helichrysum, because of what it can do for the body. It always makes me very sad when I have to order it, though.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
Oh yeah.
And then rose, I don't really particularly like the scent, but I know it is one of those essential oils that my body needs. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's actually one of the ones that my body craves. My body craves citrus and rose more than anything.
Wow.
It's weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I do a lot with rose, and I have really observed differences from different places where it was grown. I used to love the Bulgarian rose, and the last time I bought it, it was not my favorite. The Turkish rose was much better. And then I get several of these that are mixed with, they're the Indian attars or attars, and they're co-distilled with sandalwood. And that creates just this richness and warmth. It makes your mouth water. It's so nice. So I use those.
Where did you purchase that one?
There are a lot of places you can go to, but I generally get those from people who bring them in from India.
Okay.
And they're just so special and they're so expensive. And so those I tend to only use for perfumery, unless it would be something that was a very unique situation that my other oils wouldn't work for.
Right.
And I haven't come across that yet.
Right. So one of the things that, we're taught as aromatherapists is to know your supplier.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just said, you purchase them from people who bring them in from India. They're not just randomly selling essential oils. They're very
No.
particular and very intentional about the oils that they're selling.
Interestingly, I was at Botanica a couple of years ago, and there was a vendor there selling rose from somewhere in the Middle East. I don't even remember. And I didn't like the smell at all. And to me, the scent is so, it's a frequency, right? It's a vibration, and you either are with it or you're not. You align with it or you don't.
Right.
And I did not align with this. And she was a lovely woman and I really liked her, but I didn't buy any of her stuff because I just didn't like it.
Right.
But I also use a lot of rose hydrosol, and I actually drink it too. I put it in teas.
Oh, I
And
bet that's amazing.
it's delicious. It's delicious.
There's a
So,
tea company that I like to purchase from. They're actually in Rochester, New York,
huh,
called Happy Earth Tea Company, and they
huh.
have a rose tea, which is
Mm.
very good. And you can just look them up online, and they have some
Mm-hmm.
amazing herbal teas. And they've got that rose tea. They've got a holy basil tea. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got some very nice teas.
What was it? Happy what?
Happy Earth,
Happy Earth
Happy Earth Tea
tea.
Company. And my son who lives in Rochester actually took me. They have a tea bar there.
Oh, very
So that's
nice.
where I discovered them. We walked in and had some tea there, and then I was like, "Ooh, it's like a kid in a candy shop.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the different teas."
That's
Oh,
very
that's
cool.
exciting. So, what inspires you as an aromatherapist?
Um, Creating new blends, playing with the oils, putting them together and doing a scent like we did in our perfume class. Sometimes I'll use my scent sticks and sometimes I'll just take my bottles and put them together and do this. But I'm always seem to be working on new product. And that really inspires me. My most recent one was this weekend, and I did the plunge into making soaps.
Oh, ah, look at you!
And they're all different scents. I have mint and vetiver.
Oh my word!
This smells yummalicious.
I
And
would have trouble not eating that.
I know, right? They're so fun. And I'm just very excited about it. And they lather up. They're very nice in the shower. And they're really nice.
Is that a product you're planning on selling?
I think so, yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
very good.
Yeah. I think this was my first foray in it, and so I'm going to gift most of these. But I will, I'm going to publish it on social media and see what happens.
Oh,
So,
that's exciting. That is super exciting.
yeah.
So in this time of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are realizing that self-care is not selfish anymore.
Mm-mm.
We don't take care of ourselves, we are going to go insane inside of our
Mm-hmm.
houses. So
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing for your self-care routine right now?
Well, I talked about this at the meeting last night. I read this book that was gifted to me for New Year's from one of my clients, and it's called Beauty Water by Tori Holmes.
Okay.
And in the book, she talks all about taking teas and making these teas that she refers to as elixirs. So she incorporates citrus fruits and um, schizandra berries and mushrooms, reishi mushroom, and shilajit, which is from India. Do you know about that?
I'm not familiar with that herb.
Yeah, I wasn't either. It is actually in the crags of the mountains way up in the Himalayas.
Okay.
And it's thousands of years old. So it's basically decomposed plant matter. It is so high in these trace minerals that you can get almost nowhere else, and it's a total body boost. So from doing the reading from that book, it really inspired me, and I started making these teas for myself, for my husband. And she says that you should keep it to 3 a day, and I have mostly. Sometimes I do 4. And they're just amazing. Like, I have a very tender digestion, so I did stuff for digestion for me. My husband has trouble sleeping. I made a sleepy tea for him. What else? And I do a blend for him every morning that's just a total body boost, right? Mental clarity, using lion's mane and ashwagandha. And I mean, I just have the powdered herbs and put them in with some cinnamon and a little bit of maple syrup, some water, shake it up, drink it down.
Oh.
And it takes, the thing about working with those herbs like that is that it takes about a solid 90 days before you can really assess whether or not it's helping you.
Right.
Definitely. And I feel like they've been helpful on both an immune system level, but also on an emotional level. So the mood, it's been very, like the one I do is with hibiscus and rosewater.
Mm-hmm.
Very helpful for just uplifting you
Wow.
and just, making you just feel all's right with the world. And the other thing I think is really important, so, it's very much mind, body, spirit. And so to take care of the body, I think it's really important to do some stretching every day. I have a vibe plate, and I get on that and I do my workout on the vibrational plate. And that's really good for cleansing the lymphatic system. And, so I make sure I address all 3 every day. And pre-COVID, I would trade with friends and I would get reflexology done and I would get massage done. And I haven't had the ability to do any of that since COVID hit.
Right. I had
So,
my last massage was right before we moved, so back in February. And then 2 weeks ago, I was able to get a massage for the first time. And I was a wreck. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's hard. It's this isolation has been very hard on everyone.
it really has.
Not even just business wise, right? Personally.
Yeah.
Especially
Absolutely.
for energy workers and massage therapists and things like that. This has been hard.
Yeah. And I have not been hands-on with people since the middle of March.
Right.
So it's almost the end of July. I'm really hoping to go back in the beginning of August. I'm thinking about the 8th of August. I just have this feeling like that's the right time to start.
Excellent.
And I miss my clients. I've had my clients call me and say, when are you starting up again? Please see me, and, I mean, and there's so much misinformation out there. You sort of don't know what is fact versus fantasy. And I think in the final analysis, you have to look at where the numbers are and what has been happening in the hospitals, and how are we going to take care of ourselves. Right. And so my biggest push is immune boosting and emotional boosting, because if you're emotionally strong, the physical stuff doesn't get to you as easily or quickly.
Right.
Because you have a force field around you, essentially.
Right.
Right.
So right. So most of your business hands-on, or do you do anything over the internet?
Yes, I will. I can definitely do the energy work over the internet, and I have done that.
Okay.
And that has been very powerful and very amazing when I've done that. And I can do it over the phone. You know, you don't even have to be face to face, right? But it is really powerful. And I have all my product on my website.
Okay. That was my next
So,
question. How can people find you?
yeah, my website is Dorey Aromatherapy.com, and that's DOREY, aromatherapy.com. And if you look on any of the sites, Etsy, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, I'm there under Dorey Aromatherapy. So,
Wow, you are everywhere. I refuse to Pinterest. I can't do it. That is so not me. I refuse to Twitter. I can't do it. You're everywhere.
you know, honestly, I don't do it. My wonderful assistant does it.
I have a virtual assistant. I understand.
Yep. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I will link all of the places where people can find you.
Okay, cool. And don't forget about emotional inhalers. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
That's probably too. So there's all kinds of them. I have an uplifting one. I have one for grief. I have one for anxiety. I have one for stress. And I carry them with me all the time. I have people who I've administered to with, I always carry essential oils with me too. Like I always have a little bottle of lavender and a little bottle of helichrysum. And I have literally, and I'm sure you've done this too, Melissa, if somebody had just fallen down, you're right there with the lavender, right?
Yep.
That's what I did.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's happened to me more than once.
Oh,
So
well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited.
thank you. You're really a very good interviewer. You're so relaxed and it just flows so easily. So you're
I had
very good.
someone tell me when I was a teenager that I should be on the radio or television or something for that very reason. So,
Yes.
well,
And you still can.
yeah, we're working on it. We're doing what we can, right? We're reaching out. Well, my hope is that through these interviews that I'm doing with other aromatherapists, that people will start to realize what an aromatherapist is.
Hmm.
And it's not we're not salespeople.
Right.
We're practitioners, which is totally different. And I'm hoping that through this series, people will start seeing that. And my hope individually for you is that people will find you
Thank
and
you.
what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
exciting. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care, Melissa.
All right. Bye, Mary Ellen.
See you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.